Welcome back to HPL. We saw Greensheep take a 2-1 lead here over RDU. Great queue-ups on both sides. Greensheep getting a little bit better in the match, though.
Yeah, this is really the spot in the matchup now where RDU is going to have to make some sort of adjustment, and the fact that Greensheep is kind of going back and forth a little bit on these strategies. Queued up Druid in game 1, queued up aggro Paladin in game 2, and with a much more resilient aggro deck in game 3. Not ending the game quite as early, but still has more than enough to push for damage.
Yeah.
Love the fact that he's been playing these mix of strategies.
Yeah, all over the spectrum here for Greensheep. Everything except for a hard control deck so far. Don't know if we're going to see that from him, but it's going to be interesting to see what RDU does in this game to change things up, because he has to win with Greensheep being on match point here. Game 4, Greensheep versus RDU.
Yeah, I would venture to say that we'll never see Greensheep play a hard control deck here in HPL. You know, that day may eventually come, but it's not going to be in this game. He's going back to Druid to get this third and final win.
And RDU is going to be looking like re-queuing up the Grim Patron Warrior deck. I see an Armor Smith here, so maybe he actually went to control or switch the cards up a little bit. And I thought that this was maybe something that RDU could do, since this deck just has great matchups almost across the board, that it's hard to move away from the Grim Patron deck when you feel like it's just the most powerful deck.
Yeah, I think he just hasn't been drawing Armor Smiths. It's really what it boils down to. I'd be hard-pressed to find this card not in the deck at all, and not the greatest start ever from Greensheep. No Wild Growth, no Innervate, but once again, it does have a pretty strong curve, so maybe he's going to have enough to get this game done.
Yeah, we've seen this from a lot of the Druid decks where they haven't done anything for like the first 2 or 3 turns, even without Wild Growth, but it hasn't mattered because turns 4, 5, 6, and 7 are just so huge for them.
Yeah,
they just do so much things with such big minions.
Shade going to be his first threat, and then the Keeper of the Grove on the Acolyte of Pain. It's going to be a little bit late. Does have Harrison Jones in his hand, though. That's a very crucial card in this matchup. If you take out Deathspite when your opponent's trying to set up a big turn with that card, it can be all the difference in the world.
Yeah, like if RDU were to set up Deathspite this turn and maybe try to Grim Patron next turn, you could really, really get him with a card like Harrison Jones, but it's not going to be set up that way. He's going to get an unstable ghoul in play to help protect himself and get value off this Acolyte of Pain and his Armor Smith.
Really looking to get value off that Acolyte of Pain, but it is all going to be happening not this time. Silence, going to make sure that it can't draw any cards, and now we're going to get this Spectator thing fixed as quickly as we can. Second Armor Smith, though. This is now a lot of potential armor that RDU can start putting together, and this is the turn that you're going to see this Harrison Jones. I mean, this is one of the scariest turns in the game, is when your opponent can roll into their turn 6, have something like Grim Patron with an Inner Rage, and maybe even an Execute to clear out an important minion, and Harrison Jones is going to stop all of that in its tracks.
Yeah, you can't let them get into the turn where they could do something like Grim Patron Whirlwind or just anything like that, any of the Whirlwind effects, especially when you get to take one away from them here. RDU gets a little value off this, gets armor, but I feel like Greensheep gets even more.
It's really going to be a matter of whether or not Greensheep can continue to keep this board under control, because Druid, the longer this game is going to go and he's not pressuring Greensheep a ton, this is where Druid starts to roll into its scary turns. Again, he does have 2 Armor Smiths to buy himself a lot of time, so if he finds himself having the right answers to all of this, it's going to be a nightmare for Greensheep. But so far, you know, just kind of slowly dying to these thousands of cuts that RDU is delivering across the board.
Yeah, RDU definitely, you know, he's not pushing super hard right now, but he has 2 Executes in his hand to help deal with anything gigantic that Greensheep's going to bring against him. Any giant Druid with Claws or Sludge Belchers that are going to help, you know, stymie his attack here, which you're going to see Greensheep do. Eventually, the Shade is going to have to start coming out and either applying pressure to RDU or start controlling the board for Greensheep.
Yeah, I'm just going to Druid the Claw and taunt and pass it up. So floating a little bit of mana. Oh, that is an important draw. It doesn't have quite the mana to utilize it all just yet. RDU going to start expending Executes, but again, not a lot of pressure from RDU. So the fact that Greensheep is not staring down a significant number of threats, I think he's pretty happy with the way this game's panning out.
Absolutely. But going into the next couple turns, RDU is 1 or 2 cards away from coming off. And a card like Inner Rage, card like Whirlwind, going into turns 8, 9, and 10, he's going to be able to start having really big turns with his Grim Patron Warsong commanders.
Yeah. So it looks like Greensheep. Oh, that's a fantastic card to pick up at this point. Going to take out this Armor Smith, and his Shade continues to grow, and every single turn that grows, you know, the clock is looming over RDU's head. He's got to find a way to stop all this. He has a second Execute here, but he doesn't want to use it on the front half of a Sludge Belcher. Yeah,
it's going to be really difficult for him to navigate from here, and if you look in Greensheep's hand, he already has double Force of Nature, double Savage Roar.
Cannot blame him at all for going for the Grim Patron here. I mean, it's just going to be so much to be got. Sludge Belcher actually a little bit of a liability in this situation. He's going to be able to summon 3 Grim Patrons and then start pushing for some damage here.
He's going to push a ton of damage, and he's gaining a ton of armor here. He's getting his life total very, very high, because we're getting into those integral turns against Druid where they can start doing huge, huge combos on you.
Yeah, so 4 damage going to be coming across the board now. But, I mean, Greensheep's got some pretty good ways to answer this, actually. The Shade is probably going to come out this turn and take out one of these Grim Patrons, and then he's got Force Nature to answer the Warsong Commander and 2 of these Grim Patrons. So if he gets past this point, smooth sailing sailing from here, I'd say.
Yeah, I really expect to see a force of nature from him this turn to start cleaning up this board. You need to take care of this Warsong Commander, these 2 Grim Patrons, and you get to take care of the other Grim Patron with your Shade, and RDU is left with just an Armor Smith left.
Yeah, Despite and Execute in his hand, so got a lot of work to do if he wants to close this game out. Is this going to be Coin Savage Roar? I don't think he actually needs to do that right now. I mean, is he going to be actually pushing for... He can't push for damage in this spot. That would be... I mean, that would be ridiculous. 14, 20... He's only at 25 points of damage.
Yeah, it's only 23 to 25 points of damage. Yeah, I don't...
Wow, this is really interesting. So I guess he's going to be using his health to clear out this Warsong Commander and make the push from there. Yeah, the Savage Roar really here was so that way he could clear out this Warsong Commander as well. That's his main focus here. So going to take out everything that RDU has and then start moving forward. I mean, he doesn't even have an Armor Smith left. I think this is a pretty good use of 2 life from Greensheep, actually.
Yeah, it's a great use of 2 life from it, and he has redundant copies of both Force of Nature and Savage Roar here. RDU going to get to cycle this Slam here. Pretty good for him, get an extra card. This Frothing Berserker, you know, it gives him something to do. That's what RDU needs. This is step 1 on the step to a comeback trail. But as we see, Greensheep's hand is just chock full of things to do.
Yeah, I mean, really the big story I think of this game so far is the silence on the Acolyte of Pain, denying RDU so many potential card draws. And RDU, I don't even think he should. Yeah, I don't even think he needs to use the Execute in this position. He's got plenty of life to leverage at this point. 7, really not that much of a difference. You just saw Force Nature Savage Roar. This is a card advantage battle at this point, and he's losing it and needs to make up that ground.
Yeah, you may see. Yeah, I was going to say you're gonna see Greensheep swipe right away here. Just no nonsense. He's at 10. You're waiting for the turn where RDU doesn't do anything and passes.
I mean, Grommash is really that was his biggest draw at the moment. Gnomish Inventor I don't think is bad either. Just anything to get extra cards at this point. And a whole second Grim Patron, maybe that's going to be enough. But you know, something else that's important is his Pilot Shredder came down after this Death Spite, so not able to deal damage to the secondary body of that. So Execute out of range, but you know, he's starting to put together sort of a dangerous hand. Greensheep's got to be careful how he moves forward. Does he need to draw cards off this Ancient Allure, or is he worried about his life total at all?
It depends on if Greensheep wants to play around Grom. If he wants to play around Grom, he can start to armor up and use Ancient Allure to gain life and get out of that range. But the way, you know, because like, you can expect RDU to hold on to this charge unless he's doing something great with Grim Patrons to try to kill you with Grom.
Yeah, I think this might be the turn for RDU to, you know, maybe come back in this game and start turning things around as well. Unstable Ghoul gets picked up. That's great to hide a Grim Patron behind. And so he's going to play Grim Patron first. And these boom bots could really go the wrong direction for Greensheep.
This is going to be a big turn for RDU here if he gets, you know, relatively lucky with his boom bots, because he gets to actually clear out this Doctor Boom as well.
Yeah, and Greensheep's going down to 7 this turn as well. Execute going to take care of the 7/6 body, and these boom bots are so important right now.
Ooh, Greensheep gets a taunter. That's actually a big deal as well.
1 point of damage to phase 2. I mean, the fact that he summoned another Grim Patron and now he's sitting behind this Unstable Ghoul, this is looking really bad for Greensheep all of a sudden.
Yeah, Greensheep does have some ways to take care of this. He does have, I mean, Swipe is not the best usage of his mana here, but he needs to be able to get to these Grim Patrons so he can use another Force of Nature to start clearing this road, but there's not a lot of clean ways for him to do that because of this Unstable Ghoul.
Yeah, the Unstable Ghoul's, I mean, this is putting the whole wrench in everything. I mean, if he attacks this Unstable Ghoul, 3 more Grim Patrons are going to get summoned after that, so he has to deal with 3 fresh ones, 1 into 3/2, and then 2 of them at the 1 health slot, so he can kind of clear things up, but he's at 7.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple play lines to him here. He might just have to develop an Ancient of Lore, gain 5 life, and let RDU attack into his Taunter and make extra Grim Patrons, because they won't have charge unless a Warsong Commander comes off the top of the deck.
Yeah, but then how does he close the game after that? I mean, I don't see a line here that's really giving him a fantastic winning position. You know, a couple draws from RDU and, you know, holding onto the Grim Patron was so crucial this game, and being able to hide it behind the Unstable Ghoul, I don't know if Greensheep's got a way to come back from this.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable turnaround from RDU over the last couple turns, really showcasing the power of the Grim Patron deck.
Well, Ancient Allure, he's got to heal with it. There's no other option, I don't think. And, you know, I don't think you can afford to attack either. You can't set your opponent onto 6 Grim Patrons on the board. It's just going to kill you.
And Warsong Commander up the top, wow. That's actually going to do it.
Just why not? Draws that Warsong Commander, and that is going to do it. He's got more than enough damage. You can see
we're going to game 5, boys.
A little upset by that sequence of draws. I mean, you talk about some saucy ones. RDU, every single one of those last few draws went his way.
Everybody just going ahead and get in here. We got to get into game 5. We got something to do, and you know what? If you're Greensheep here, you got to feel at least a little bit like one got away.
Yeah, I certainly think so as well. He had a fantastic position in this game, but Grim Patron's just too much for him to handle. That's something that Druid really doesn't take care of well, is multiple Grim Patrons that are on the board. Swipe is one of their answers to clean everything up.
It's not a good one.
But if you're not killing every Grim Patron with a Swipe, you're giving your opponent more Grim Patrons, so that that tool is all but taken away in that matchup sometimes.
Yeah, we saw Greensheep with a great opener, put a lot of pressure on RDU, but never really found that turn to really finish him off. RDU gained a ton of life and a ton of armor during that game, and it gave him enough time to get through his deck and then find the pieces he needs with a couple of, fortunate top decks there in a row to get the win.
So RDU's queued up Warrior 3 times in a row now, and Greensheep, when players are on their back foot, they will tend to go to their favorite strategies. You want to know what Greensheep's favorite strategy is? You can head over to pvplive.net and check it out for yourself. All the decks that he's played in HPL so far, and you can see RDU's entire competitive career on there as well. Stats breakdowns, recaps of all those games, everything is available, guys. When we come back, we're going to have Game 5 here in HPL. RDU looking to make his big splash here in HPL, but Greensheep, he needs a win to keep that momentum up. Guys, don't go anywhere. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.